Hello there, welcome or welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Samantha and this is my channel where I talk all about books. Anyway, today I'm coming to you with a very exciting reading vlog, which I'm sure you already know what it is by the title. But in today's vlog, we are going to be reading the Hunger Games series. You probably know that Sunrise on the Reaping came out recently-ish. I'm gonna be honest, it took me longer to film this vlog than I was anticipating. So it's now been like a month since Sunrise on the Reaping came out, but still, it was fairly recently. I decided that obviously I was going to be reading that anyway, so why not reread the Hunger Games trilogy as well? Because I actually had never reread it. I read the Hunger Games series for the first time in 2014. It was actually before I started my YouTube channel, because I started my channel in 2014, but it was in May and I had already read the series like in January, I think. I can't believe I actually read this series before I even started my channel. It's crazy. I read it for the first time then, and then I had never reread the series. I've seen the movies so many times, but yeah, I had never reread the series. I did read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes when that came out, although I didn't reread it for this video just because I wasn't in the mood to reread it at the moment. I still know how I feel about that book because it hasn't been that long, even though that was now 5 years ago. What the hell? I decided to reread the Hunger Games series, see if it stands up to how I remember it, and also read Sunrise on the Reaping. So this video is going to be absolutely full of spoilers, so if you haven't read the Hunger Games, don't watch this video. I'm not going to spoil Sunrise on the Reaping when talking about the first trilogy. I only spoil Sunrise on the Reaping when I talk about Sunrise on the Reaping, so you'll see that last. We're going to start off with the Hunger Games trilogy. I hope you enjoyed the vlog. Let's get into it. Hello, good morning. I am very sleepy right now because the clocks changed yesterday, and even though it's currently 9 o'clock, my body still feels like it's 8 o'clock, which is not the problem. The problem is I tried to get up at 7:30, which my body feels like is 6:30, and that just threw me through a loop, and now I'm just feeling so sleepy, even though I got like almost 8 hours of sleep last night. But anyway, I have started reading the Hunger Games, and I'm actually a decent amount of the way through already. I'm already on part 2, so I'm on page 179, and I have to say I am loving this so much. The first time I read this, I gave 4 stars, and I'm surprised by that because I would have assumed I would have given it 5. I don't know why I didn't. I didn't write any review or anything when I first read it 11 years ago, so I have no idea what I was thinking, but I feel like it's probably going to be a 5. But then I'm like, am I just extra biased because I have like watched the movies more recently, and I'm definitely like picturing the movies as I read it. I don't know, I feel like that's helping it like read really quickly because I'm just like, oh, I can picture this so well. I am loving it, and I have to say I actually love Peeta so much. The first time I read the books, I had seen the first movie, I think, and actually maybe even more than that. I may have seen the first and second movie, but anyway, I had seen at least the first movie, so I knew that Liam Hemsworth was Gale, and I thought Liam Hemsworth was really hot. So I was like, well, I'm obviously going to be Team Gale. Doesn't matter about Peeta. And I feel like I definitely had that mentality reading this because I was always like, yeah, Peeta's great. And like, I was Team Peeta, but like, I didn't really care that much about him because like in the back of my mind, I was like, but Gale though. But I have to say, this time around, I'm like, no, I'm definitely Team Peeta. 100%. I mean, there's not any competition. I do love Peeta in this book. He's just so nice and kind, and I'm like, oh, he didn't deserve the Hunger Games. Speaking of, they have literally just entered the arena when I finished reading last night. I wanted to continue, but I finally had my book club call with my gals for our February pick. It took us so long to actually get through that. So it's March 31st today, and we only had our February call last night, and so I didn't read any more when we got off the phone because it was kind of late. But I'm going to do some reading this morning because I should get started with my day already, but I'm still so sleepy, so I'm gonna read a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna go read and I'll update you later. Hello, good afternoon. It's the same day, but it's been many hours, and I'm currently sitting on my living room floor because I'm in here reading anyway, and I was like, let's film in a new place on the floor. Why not? I am just over halfway through. I'm on page 250 of 450, so I have 200 pages to go. I am tentatively hoping to finish this tonight. I'm not really doing anything else for the rest of the evening. It's already 5:30, so I think I could probably finish this because also I read it super quickly. It's so fast paced. I read it so quickly. I love it. I'm loving it. I haven't read this book in 11 years, and I'm having, I was gonna say a great time, but like obviously it's horrifying, but I just love being back with these characters again. So at the point that I'm at, we just had the like tracker jacker scene with the wasps, the killer wasps, and that is so horrifying. I forgot how unpleasant that is. Now Katniss and Rue have just formed a little alliance and are plotting to sabotage the careers, and now Peeta has split up from the careers. So that's where I'm at, and I am excited to continue on. Obviously I know what happens, but I feel like it is a little bit different from the film, and obviously goes into more depth. I have a really good feeling that this is gonna be a 5-star. So let's see how it goes. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. It's 7 o'clock and it's still very much light outside. I'm so excited. And we had a really nice day today. It was like 16, so not super warm, but honestly, we have that in the summer most of the time. So, you know, it felt like spring today. It was so nice. On my run, there were flowers out everywhere. It was so pretty. We also have a special guest over here. She's ignoring me, but she also wants to be near me because my cats are actually like the most unfriendly cats you'll ever meet in your life. They don't want cuddles unless they're on their terms specifically. They will never sit in your lap and they expect you to wait on them hand and foot, and it's really annoying. Anyway, still reading the Hunger Games. I'm on page 318, so I'm into part 3, and Katniss has just found Peeta and is taking care of him. And it's so sweet. But yeah, they are back together, working together because they've introduced the new rule where if both tributes from the same district are still alive at the end, then they win together. So now they're going to be working together to try and win this thing. We all know how it's going to end, but I'm still having a great time. I didn't cry when Rue died, which I was surprised about because I cry all the time apparently. But something that did actually make me tear up was that after Rue died, Katniss gets sent the bread, which is like specifically the bread from District 11. And she's like talking about how this must have come from District 11 and the things that they sacrificed to get it to her. That got me. I was tearing up, but I did not cry. I don't know why, but that specifically, I was just like, oh, just stab me in the heart, why don't you, Suzanne? And she did. Anyway, I'm going to try and get to about page 350 before dinner, and then I'm going to cook something because I'm so hungry. Every time I run, my stomach is just a bottomless pit afterwards, even though like today was like 4.5 miles, so it's not that far, but I'm just so hungry. And I've had snacks, but they were just not working. So yeah, I'm gonna try and read to page 350 and I'm gonna cook some dinner. Alex and I are probably gonna watch some TV tonight, but I do want to finish this tonight, so that is my plan. I'll just check in with you once I've got further along, probably once I've finished. I'll see you in a bit. Hello, good morning. It's the next day. I come bearing good news. I finished the Hunger Games. I did technically finish this morning, which is April 1st, but I'm counting this towards March, and I have doctored the dates on Storygraph, so this is included in my March statistics, just because I wanted to. You know what? It's fine, but at least I'm being honest now. I did actually finish this on April 1st. It's basically still March, but yeah, I just finished this morning. I loved it. It's a 5-star. I really don't know why I gave it 4 stars the first time. I wish I could turn back time and ask younger me why I gave it 4 stars, because I think I even mentioned it on like my favorite books of that year. And I always thought that this was like a 5-star read, so I have no idea why it was actually 4 stars. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's very interesting because so much of it actually takes place during the games, which I feel like in the like last few Hunger Games books that I've read, it's more about like rebellion and the political system and stuff like that. That's more important than the actual games. Whereas in this one, obviously with it being the introduction to the Hunger Games, it is very much the games. And I feel like Catching Fire is as well. And it's just like so fast-paced and action-packed. And it's actually so much more gruesome than the film, which I feel like kind of makes sense because I feel like books kind of get away with being a little bit more gory, especially like young adult, because this is technically young adult. So yeah, I feel like it gets away with being a little bit more gory, whereas in the film, they can't show that. Otherwise, that definitely would not be like a PG-13 or whatever. So yeah, like Cato's death in this book was so much more gruesome and drawn out than it was in the film. Like, it was still disgusting in the film. It's interesting that it just goes so far, and it is technically young adult. It has so much to say about politics and society. There's so many like little messages in here. I still think it holds up, and I'm very impressed. I actually preferred it the first time I read it, apparently. Really enjoyed this. I will say, in my memory, and also like from watching the films recently-ish, Catching Fire is my favorite by far in the trilogy, so I'm so excited to get to this one. However, this one was very good. I'm gonna start later today because I actually want to get some stuff done today. I feel like I've been slacking a little bit the last couple of days. It was the weekend, and I was busy, to be fair, but I feel like I need to get some more stuff done. So I'm gonna do some stuff today, and then I will start this tonight, although I do have line dancing tonight, so I'm not sure how far I'm gonna get into this, but this is the plan, and actually so excited to read this because this one is definitely my favorite in the whole series. I was gonna say in the trilogy, but I think in the whole series. So it's actually kind of nerve-wracking going into this one and like, is it as good as I remember? Only time will tell. I'm going to go get all of my stuff and I will just update you later once I've started this book. Hello, good morning. It's been a good few days since I last spoke to you. I actually did not start this on the day that I said I was going to. I think I started it the next day because I was slightly worried that reading 3 books that are quite similar all in a row, I would get bored of it. So I was like, let me just take a little break. And then by the next day, I was like, no, I want to continue on. Anyway, and I haven't updated you since, but I'm now almost halfway through. I'm on page 210 of like 470. So not quite halfway, but almost there. And this one has been a lot of build-up and talk of the rebellion. And we've just found out that the Quarter Quell is going to be pulled from previous victors. So not fun. But yeah, I'm enjoying all of the like build-up to this idea of rebellion because I feel like in the film, it's not as clear. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's a scene that I had completely forgotten about in this where Katniss runs into the 2 rebels who've run away from District 8. And that does not happen in the film at all. Obviously in a book, there's more time for there to be the build-up and the discussion of the rebellion prior to it happening. Because yeah, I feel like in the film, it was not as obvious. I don't know, but I'm really enjoying it, obviously. This is probably my favorite one in the series, although we'll see how it goes going on from here. Yeah, I don't know, I love this one. I think also in this one, there's more of the sort of love triangle aspect, which I don't love, actually. But what I do like is the way that it's done is like very much Katniss just like being upset that she doesn't have a choice anymore because obviously President Snow just wants everything to go away and for everything that happened in the first games to be only because they were madly in love. So Katniss now knows like, okay, I don't have a choice, I'm gonna have to marry Peeta. And it's not that she even wanted to marry Gale, it's just that, you know, she'd never really given it much thought. She just sort of thought, you know, Gale's always been in my life, and now having to sort of deal with the idea of him not being in her life in that way and also like how he must be feeling. Very interesting. I feel like it's handled in quite a mature way, so I appreciate that. It's not just like a love triangle for a love triangle's sake. There's more to it than that, I feel. I am going to go read at least 100 pages. I think that's my plan before I get started with my day. I'll just chat to you when I have something else to tell you about. Hello, good afternoon. It is Monday, the 7th of April, and I am in so much pain because yesterday I ran a half marathon. Not just any half marathon, but the London Landmarks half marathon, which is really cool. You run around all of the landmarks in London. Probably not all of them, but a lot of them. So like the Tower of London, Westminster, like the London Eye, Big Ben, all of that. Although Big Ben is actually the bell, the tower is called the Elizabeth Tower. Anyway, here's my little medal, and on the inside it has the little route information and this little space where you can get your time put in, but I'm not going to do that. I can't be bothered. I know what my time was. My time, if you were wondering, was 2 hours, 25 minutes, and 46 seconds. So it was actually slower than the half marathon I ran last year. That one was 2 hours, 21 minutes, 10 seconds. However, the course was more hilly than I was expecting. I thought there were going to be no hills and there were some minor inclines, but they did in fact kill me. So yeah, there was that. And then also the water situation was just a disaster, but I survived, clearly. And my training for this one has been so bad. I've had so many injuries. It's actually a miracle I could even run it at all. I really thought, like, there was a moment like a few weeks ago where I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to run this. And I was raising money for charity as well, so I was like, this is gonna be so embarrassing if I can't do it. But I did it. However, today I am in pain because my back is really hurting. When I get tired, I do not have the best form and I end up hurting my back a little bit every time. So I really need to work on my core strength and just my general strength, but that is a problem for Samantha later this week. Not today. Today is a day for rest. All that to say, I've not read very much of Catching Fire because I've been busy preparing and celebrating post-run and running the damn thing. But I've read a few more pages. I'm on page 245, and Katniss and Peeta just watched Hamish's games, which is really interesting because I did not remember that happening whatsoever. So it's really interesting to read that after having read Sunrise on the Reaping. And I'm so glad I read Sunrise on the Reaping first because I feel like it made it more impactful. Whereas if I read this, then I would have been like, oh yeah, I already knew this was going to happen. But I'm not doing anything for the rest of the day. I'm exhausted. So I'm going to read this book and hopefully finish it and come back to you and tell you my final thoughts. I don't think I'm going to give you more updates, probably. Only time will tell. I'm going to go lie on the sofa and hope that my back recovers. I also have the most enormous blister on my heel. I didn't get any blisters in my last half marathon, but this half marathon, the blisters are real. I have 3, but the main one is the one on my heel. I'm in so much pain. I can barely walk. It's a disaster. So once I go downstairs, I can't come back upstairs. So let's hope I don't forget anything. Hello, it is the next day. I am wearing the exact same outfit as I wore yesterday. I actually just could not be bothered to try and figure something out this morning. I was like, I'm just gonna throw on the clothes that I left out yesterday. So excuse that. But also I like hadn't worn this shirt in such a long time and I like forgot about it and I was like, let me wear it 2 days in a row. Why not? I feel like that's my standard mode. It's like I forget I own something and then I wear it back to back for like 3 weeks. That's an exaggeration. Anyway, I am feeling slightly less sore. I was gonna say sore and stiff. I'm feeling slightly less sore today, which is good. Anyway, exciting news. I finished reading Catching Fire last night. I was absolutely determined. Also, I was just having such a good time. It's so crazy to me how amazing the adaptation is of Catching Fire. My husband and I watched the Hunger Games movies. I thought it was last year, but it must have been the year before because it was the year that Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, like the movie. Because we were talking about going to go see it in the cinema, but we never did. So we need to watch that, but we just haven't got around to it yet. Anyway, so yeah, we rewatched all the films and the Catching Fire adaptation is insane. Like, it is spot on. I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 scenes that they don't include, but everything else is included. The dialogue is literally taken directly out of the book. Like, I was reading it in exactly the way that they say it in the movie because like it's the same. It's exactly the same. It's so crazy to me. This is very random, but I think the 2 best book to movie adaptations I have ever seen so far are Catching Fire and The Martian. 2 books that I absolutely love, and I think they do such a good job with both of these books. But this is not about The Martian. If you're new here, this is my favorite book of all time, but we're not going to talk about it because I talk about it too much. Anyway, but yeah, because of that, I think it just like elevated my reading experience even more because it already reads like a movie. But then if you've also seen the movie and it's like picturing it at the same time, like, I don't know, some people probably don't like that, but for me, it was like so immersive. Like, I could visualize it perfectly. I love how like the little pieces all come together and like, you know, Katniss doesn't really know what's going on and then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I see what's happening here. We're starting a revolution. I also loved Finnick so much. He seems like such an asshole in the beginning, but then you're like, he is just so good and I don't even want to read it because of it. I'm gonna cry so much in this book. I loved it, and I love how like very slowly like Katniss is starting to realize that she actually does have feelings for Peeta. Obviously, she doesn't want to be in the situation that she's in where she feels like she has to be with him, but she is starting to get those feelings. And it's just so wholesome, and Peeta is so good in this book. He's so good in every book. Peeta's just the best. Can't believe I was at one point not Team Peeta. Like, how can you not be Team Peeta? He's like the definition of cinnamon roll. No complaints, like actually 0 complaints. The only, I guess, if I were to find one critique, and this isn't even really a critique because obviously this was done for a reason, but I feel like this book recaps certain things from the Hunger Games, which is obviously excellent if you're waiting like a year between releases. But if you finished a book and then the next day you're going to start the second book, then that's a little bit annoying because you're like, oh, I just read this, but it really was not a big deal. And obviously the series was designed for you to wait some time because, you know, that's how it was. Yeah, I think actually that was really well done and I can't really complain. It's a 5-star read, obviously. And then so far today, I have not yet started Mockingjay because I was editing a video, but I've now finished that. I'm now watching a couple YouTube videos, but later on I'm going to start this. Anyway, I will start this book and I'll come back to you once I have some initial thoughts. But yeah, this one was always my least favorite in the series, apart from Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I don't dislike. I think I gave that one 4 stars, but it is probably my least favorite. In the original trilogy, Mockingjay was always my least favorite, so we'll see how it goes. I do like both of the movies. I'm going to start this later. I'll come back to you when I have some thoughts, but for now, I'm going to go watch some YouTube and lie down in bed. Hello, good afternoon. It's the next day. I have started and made a little bit of progress into Mockingjay. I'm currently only on page 86, so really have not read too much, but I don't know why today I just was not in a reading mood this morning, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to force myself to read, and obviously having a great time as soon as I'm reading. I just didn't feel like reading. Anyway, and then I had to go run some errands, so I haven't read a ton, but so far I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good enough time. We've just got to the bit where they're filming the first propo and Haymitch is like, that's how you kill a revolution, because obviously it's so cringy and forced and like just is not working. So yeah, that's everything that's going on, and obviously so far things have just been like settling into how District 13 is run, finding out that maybe it's not like the best place to be. There's not really any good alternative. So slow start, but I know we're building to a lot more. That's what's going on in that. Unrelated to that, I had to go run some errands, and while I was out, I popped into this shop. It's called The Works, and they sell books at really ridiculously low prices. They are like an evil corporation, so I try not to support them a ton, but I just went in for a little browse because also I got some crochet supplies, although I didn't get them from The Works. Because yeah, it has like crafting stuff and then like games and books, and it's kind of a weird shop. Anyway, but I did see Lost and Lassoed, and it was only £4, and so I did in fact buy it because this was one of my favorite books of last year, and this is also my favorite one in the series so far. I do want to buy the rest of the series, even though I doubt I'll reread Done and Dusted, but I just love the covers so much. But yeah, I did like Swift and Sound a lot, and I did like Done and Dusted. It just wasn't my favorite. I want to own the whole series because I just love the covers so much, and like the spines as well. I just love everything about them. So far, this is my favorite one in the series, and I really wanted to own it, and I saw it, and I was like, you're coming home with me. And then yeah, I saw it on sale. I don't have a job, okay? So I ordered some yarn online because I started a crochet project in November. I decided I was going to crochet a dinosaur for my nephew, and it did not happen. I've never crocheted anything before in my life, so I did start it, and then I had to stop and work on a different craft project, and then I just got distracted, and I finally tried to go back to it yesterday and completely failed. I could not just pick up where I left off, so then I started trying to do it from the beginning again, and I was like, you know what, this is actually really hard, so I think I need to start with something very basic. So I bought a bunch of different yarn so that I could do granny squares, because I think that's like the best place to start. I think once I get the hang of the granny squares and like just the crochet basics, then I can probably make a start with the dinosaur again. But originally it was supposed to be my nephew's Christmas present, and then I was going to do it for his birthday, which is in June, but now like that's not going to happen, so I think it's going to be this Christmas instead. But yeah, I think I'm going to try and do a granny square today because I'm just super excited about the prospect of doing granny squares. So yeah, I'm going to do some crochet, I'm going to read. I will come back to you when I have some more thoughts about Mockingjay. Hello, good morning. It's Sunday. It's been a full week since my half marathon, so it's now time to go for my first run post-marathon. We'll see how it goes. I tried to go for a walk the other day, and my blister was still extremely painful, but that was a few days ago, and I feel like it's a lot better now. So I'm gonna try my first run post-half marathon. We'll see how it goes, but I've also made a little bit of progress with Mockingjay. I have to say, I have not been reading that much this week. It's just been a very busy week. I feel like I've been running around everywhere, so I have not been reading very much. However, I just got to page 254, so I'm like over halfway. I have pretty much exactly 200 pages left, so not too much. There has been a lot going on. They rescued Peter from the Capitol, and obviously he's dealing with the Tracker Jacker situation, which is just so heartbreaking. I have to say, it's obviously not like the same, but I once had a dream that my husband forgot who I was, and I was like trying to convince him that he loves me, and it was such a heartbreaking dream, and like it was like so painful and like stressful trying to be like, no, you know who I am, you love me, like I'm not just a stranger in your life, you know. Obviously, I mean, it's fictional first of all, but second of all, like, you know, it's more than just being a stranger. It's that he believes that Katniss has hurt him, and yeah, it's very painful. The dream sucked, so more of a nightmare really. Anyway, so that's very painful to read about. And then I forgot about all of this stuff in District 2. So they've just gone to District 2 and decided to like cause an avalanche which traps a bunch of people in this mountain, but they've left one exit, and so people have come through, and Katniss was like trying to reason with the guy and say like, you know, we're not each other's enemies, the enemy is the Capitol, and she got shot, which I don't remember if they actually included that in the movie. There's a lot that happens in this book, but I feel like how would they have missed that out in 2 movies? But maybe they didn't, and I'm just forgetting because it has been like over a year since I watched the movies, so I might have to rewatch them. But also I'm like, do I want to do that? No. I don't, because I'm gonna cry so much. I did tear up a little bit because Katniss was reflecting on the death of her father because he died in a mining accident, and District 2 is also like a mining town, and you know, it's the same sort of situation of trapping people in this mountain as like being trapped in a mine. So she was just reflecting on that, and it was all very emotional, and I did tear up. Already teared up in this book. I think Suzanne Collins just has the power to make me cry anytime. But yeah, I feel like not that much has happened like in terms of some action, but there's a lot of like plot reveals and like history that we learn in this book, like a character's history and stuff like that. Obviously there's lots of planning, lots of talk about war and, you know, what's right and what's wrong in war. Yeah, I feel like I'm enjoying this more this time around than the last time. The first time I read it, I gave it 4 stars, and I can see why, because back then, I guess I was 15. That's so long ago. I was 15, and I feel like because it was like not action packed, I was bored. But now I feel like I can appreciate the conversations that are being had. It's not boring. It's just not action packed like Catching Fire. I think also if you read them back to back, Catching Fire is just like so intense that reading Mockingjay is a bit like, oh, this is a bit sleepy in comparison, but it's really not. Like there's so much going on here. Anyway, I know exactly what I'm doing, and that is procrastinating going for my run. So I'm gonna go do that and then see how much I can read before we head out later. And hopefully I'll finish this book today. Hello, good morning. It has been a couple days since I last spoke to you, I think. Yesterday I got completely distracted trying to tidy my room because I wanted to go through my clothes, and it was literally keeping me up at night. So I was like, I need to go through these clothes. And I did not finish, but I did get rid of quite a few things. And I am planning to make a video out of that. So if you want to see that, well, let me know. So yes, I got a little bit distracted, but I did finish reading Mockingjay yesterday. I think I had like 150 pages left, and I was like, it's happening today. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. I actually think I enjoyed it more this time around than the first time. The first time I read it, I gave it 4 stars, and I remember thinking that it was quite boring, but I was 15. So meanwhile, this time, I think in the last clip I said, I was talking about how I thought it was boring the first time. Now I don't think it's boring, but then I did actually get to a little patch where there were maybe like 30 pages where it was just not the most interesting. I was a little bit bored, to be honest. However, that quickly resolved, and I was like, okay, no, this isn't boring. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars this time. I will say, I feel like the deaths in this book are so quick, and obviously, like, I guess it's the same throughout the whole Hunger Games. Apart from like Rue and maybe Wyrus, a lot of the deaths are just like brushed over really quickly because that's the nature of the Hunger Games. But obviously in this book, they're not in the Hunger Games anymore. And like, I don't know, the ones I'm really thinking of are Finnick and Prim. Like, I just feel like they're, well, Prim less so, but although the actual moment is so quick that you're just, it's kind of like whiplash. You're like, oh, did that just happen? Like, there's not a lot of time to sit back and reflect on it. And I feel like, well, she didn't need to kill Finnick, and I will always be a little bit mad about that because I just think it was unnecessary. Finnick and Annie deserved to be happy together, and I'm never gonna get over that, I don't think. So I do think that Finnick's death was, well, completely unnecessary, but also I think it was like over too quickly. I don't want the actual description of him dying to be longer, but I want sort of the reflection coming from Katniss to be more intense. Like, I want there to be more time to stop and be like, oh my god, this just happened. We need to process it. But I feel like that doesn't happen so much. And it's kind of the same thing with Prim, because obviously then Katniss is injured, so it's just kind of like that happens, and then we go into the sequence of Katniss like recovering from the injury rather than like the actual death of her sister. And it's not until a little bit later, like, I mean, Prim's death happens very much towards the end. Like, I think it's maybe 40 pages from the end. It's not until a little bit later in the book that I feel like it's like she's really processing it and grieving. I feel like my slight issue is that I think it is resolved too quickly, like the actual war. This book is about 450 pages. I think it could have been 500. Like, I feel like the extra 50 pages could have been quite useful because it's like Prim dies and then all of a sudden the war is over. And I feel like, I don't know, it could have been a little bit more fleshed out. And I don't know if I'm just like biased because of the movie, because I think the movie does flesh things out a little bit more. So I don't know if it's because I like watched that not that long ago, but I feel like this should be longer or what. But anyway, I did cry, although I didn't cry like immediately. I cried, it's like literally right by the end when Buttercup, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. When Buttercup the cat comes back. Oh, that really got me. Anything with animals, like animals having feelings, is gonna get me. And so yeah, the fact that Buttercup came back to find Prim and she's not around, oh my god. Oh, I need to not relive this. I'm just in my makeup. I'm going out later. I can't cry. Oh, but yeah, the fact that Buttercup came back to find Prim and like Katniss was just like, she's never coming back. Katniss was like, oh, she's never coming back. And then Katniss and Buttercup kind of having to just put up with each other because they're the only ones that they have left and the only tie to Prim that the two of them have left. It just really got me. Clearly, because it's getting me again. I feel like this is so ridiculous because it's literally a cat. It's a cat, but I don't know, it's just that I think that is when Katniss really lets herself grieve, and so that's when it feels the most impactful to me. But anyway, I did love this book, and like I said, if a book makes me cry, that's a good thing because it means that the book actually had some sort of emotional impact on me. So yeah, it was great. 4.5 stars. Now we're going to move on to Sunrise on the Reaping, which I have actually already read. I'm going to insert those clips now and go and compose myself, and I'm going to let you guys just watch watch and see how I felt about Sunrise on the Reaping. Yes, I will see you later. Hello friends, good morning. It's a Monday. I have a very busy day because I have a job interview tomorrow, which I need to do a lot of prep for. And I was supposed to prep over the weekend. I did a tiny bit, but mostly I wanted to finish the book that I was reading so that I could then finally move on to Sunrise on the Reaping. I pre-ordered this book and it did not arrive at my house until Friday. So this came out last week Tuesday, for context of where we are in time. This came out last week Tuesday and didn't arrive at my house until Friday, and then I wasn't even at my house because I'm currently at my sister's place. I'm house sitting until the end of this week, so I'm currently at her house. And yeah, so I'm here. Wasn't at home, even though home is 5 minutes away, but I didn't get a chance to go pick it up on Friday. So I didn't actually get my hands on this until Saturday, but I started this last night because I was reading something else first and I wanted to finish that before going into this so that I could just prioritize this and not feel like guilty about abandoning my other book. Anyway, so I started this last night and I only read the first chapter, which is like 23 pages. And this, by the way, is going to be absolutely filled with spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything about this, skip this part. Yeah, I read the first chapter and basically all that's gone on at the moment is that we're introduced to Hamish and his family a little bit, and also the love of his life, Lenore Dove, and it's the reaping in the first chapter. And his name was not actually called out. So that did actually surprise me a little bit. I just assumed that his name is going to get pulled, obviously, because we know that he's in this Hunger Games. So yeah, I was like, oh, it's not him. But obviously then that guy got shot. So it's going to be him. And also obviously it's a quarter quell, so there's double the amount of tributes as they normally are. And I don't think I'm prepared emotionally. Also, I always find that I read so slowly when I start a new book at night. So I read the first chapter very slowly, but let's hope I can read the rest of this a little bit more quickly. I'm not going to be doing any more reading until much later in the day because I've got to prep for my interview. But tonight, I'm planning to do some serious reading. Although my husband and I are watching a show at the moment. We're watching The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix, and we just finished season 1. We literally only started it a few days ago, so it's pretty bad that we've already finished the first season. But there are only 10 episodes, and this is why I don't watch TV, because I become addicted and I cannot stop. Yeah, so we'll probably watch some more tonight, but I do want to prioritize this. But I just wanted to let you know that I've started it, but I'm gonna get back to work and I will update you once I've read some more. Hello, it's Tuesday. I think I mentioned yesterday that I had an interview today. It went on for so long because it's actually an assessment center day. So I had like group tasks, I had interviews, I had individual tasks, and it was like 4.5 hours. So I'm very tired today. I have line dancing tonight as well, which I want to go to, but I'm also like, I really just want to lie in bed and sleep. Well, not sleep. I want to read this book because I feel like now that I've finished all of my interview stuff, I can actually focus on reading this. Obviously, I still have to do other job applications, but I finished my assessment center and then I was like, I'm not doing anything for the rest of the day. And then I spent a lot of time on YouTube, and now we are committed until I have to leave. But I'm currently about 75 pages in. I just got to chapter 6, and there were 2 things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, we have Drusilla, who is like the equivalent to Effie Trinket. Like, she calls out the names and she like escorts them, but she's such a bitch, so it's really weird because I feel like Effie, whilst misguided and naive, she's actually like not a horrible person, whereas Drusilla seems like the worst. So that's interesting. The other thing I wanted to mention was that the treatment of the tributes in the Hunger Games, as in the book The Hunger Games, I feel like they've reached like celebrity status by that stage, whereas in this book the tributes are very much treated badly and like they are treated like animals basically. And it's really interesting because I feel like in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which to be fair I don't remember a ton, in theory I should also reread that, but I don't know if I'm going to because I liked that book, but I don't think it was like worthy of a reread potentially. But yeah, I feel like in that the Hunger Games is such a new concept that it's really messy and like understandable that things are chaotic and everything's treated badly. But you'd think that in this book, when it's been 50 years since the Hunger Games started, the attitude would be different. And I mean, the whole thing is just bizarre, like the treatment of the tributes, like in the Hunger Games, how they've reached celebrity status. It's bizarre. The whole thing is just so weird and messed up. But yeah, it's interesting that like it's changed since the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but the attitudes are still like miles behind where they end up in the Hunger Games. That's all I wanted to say. I feel like I maybe didn't explain myself super well. I've had to do a lot of articulating today. I am at my limit. And Luella has just died. Luella, who was going to be teaming up with Hamish, she has died. So I don't know what's going to happen now, but I have a feeling he's going to ally himself with the other tributes from District 12. I'm probably going to get one more chapter in before I have to start thinking about making dinner and getting ready to go out. But I really just want to stay home and read. I feel like it's taken me a little while to like get into it, but now I'm like, I don't want to stop reading. Anyway, I'm gonna go and continue reading, and I'll just update you when something else happens that I feel like I need to tell you about. Hello, good afternoon. It's Wednesday. I should say good evening. It's like 5:30. I am obviously still reading Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm now just under halfway through. I'm on page 160, and I feel like I haven't updated in a while, but I'm loving seeing the characters from Catching Fire in this book, like Mags, Beatty, Wyrus. I'm like, I don't know, very surprised to see them. I don't know why I didn't think that they would be in here, but I don't know, because it's been like 10 or 11 years since I read The Hunger Games. I don't know if it's mentioned that Haymitch knew them already, like in Catching Fire, if it's mentioned that he already knew them or what, but I don't know. I didn't remember, or it wasn't mentioned, so I wasn't expecting to see them. Also, there are a lot of themes in here which I feel like are a little bit more Catching Fire than The Hunger Games, because there's like a little bit of a revolution brewing. It's interesting that like they talk about revolution and about like how long everything's been going on for. They talk about it in this book, like it's already been going on for 50 years. Why is it still going on? Like, surely the rebels have already been punished enough. But obviously we know that it then goes on for another 25 years. So it's very interesting discussions being brought up. I do have to say, I think there's been a lot of setup so far. Because like I said, I'm almost halfway through and we're still not in the games yet. We're like setting up alliances and plotting this revolution plot. Yeah, it's been a little bit slow going. I'm still really enjoying it, and like the little Easter eggs and just like things that I feel like tie back into the like original trilogy. I'm so excited to reread the trilogy. I literally cannot wait. But yeah, I'm excited to continue on, see how this goes. I'm going to read for a bit longer and then probably stop and cook dinner and stuff, but hopefully I'll finish this like tomorrow, maybe. I'm definitely not going to finish it tonight because Alex wants to watch some TV. I'm gonna go get back to reading. I was not expecting to cry, but here we are. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? I never cry at books, and this year is just the year of crying at books, apparently. Paisley just died, and obviously, like, I knew she was gonna die, but the thing that has made me cry is that they've sent in the strawberry ice cream and the black coffee, and like, Haymitch is just reflecting on how she's become more than a friend, like a sister, and it's just sad. It just got to me. I'm laughing at myself as well as crying because I'm like the only person in my family who cries, so the fact that I'm so emotional over like a book, like, it just makes me laugh now. I have to laugh at myself because other people will laugh at me for crying. So anyway, I'm gonna compose myself and get back to reading. Hello, good morning. It's Friday. I don't think I spoke to you yesterday, but I did not finish this yesterday, but I have been reading it this morning, and I have shed some tears, which I was not expecting, just because I feel like I don't really cry in books a ton anymore. But I think, saying that, this is the third book this year where I have cried or like teared up. So clearly books are just hitting me harder this year for some reason. Anyway, I'm currently on page 315, so I've got about 70 pages to go, I think. Yeah, 382 pages, so less than 70 pages to go. So I'm definitely gonna be finishing this today. I feel like I'm not gonna do anything else until I finish this. Yeah, I realized I also haven't like talked that much about this since the game started. This one is so brutal. I think I already knew that going into it, that apparently like a lot of people said that this games specifically is like one of the most brutal, and also obviously it's like double the number of tributes. Yeah, some of the mutts, horrifying. I mean, the mutts in the Hunger Games as well are also horrifying, but there's been some pretty graphic stuff in here. I mean, unsurprising really. I feel like if I had read this as a teenager, I would have been horrified. I mean, the whole point is to be horrified, so actually scratch that. It is supposed to be horrifying and shocking. And it definitely does that. Even as an adult, I'm still horrified. But actually that brings me on to something that I'm just curious about, and obviously I don't think anyone here is going to have any answers, but if you do, feel free to share. But I wonder if a lot of teenagers are reading this these days, or if like most of the people reading this book are adults who read the Hunger Games when they were teenagers and loved it and have been waiting for this book for, you know, however many years. So I'm like, are teenagers still reading the Hunger Games? I mean, actually, when I worked at the library, people were still borrowing the Hunger Games, and it often was teenagers. So I guess, yes, they are. But like, are they also reading this book? Like, have they been waiting for this book? I don't know. I am really enjoying this. And oh, I think I also probably haven't mentioned about Effie. I don't know if I did, but we've met Effie. And so it's really interesting to see the relationship between Effie and Haymitch goes back so far. She was literally the last person that Haymitch saw before he went into the arena. And so it's really interesting to know that backstory. And like when I go in to reread The Hunger Games, I feel like I'm going to be looking out for if there are any clues there that they have known each other for such a long time. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I will be finishing it shortly and coming back to you with my final thoughts. Let's see if I cry again. Probably. Hello, I'm back. It's still Friday. It's just been a few hours and I have finished Sunrise on the Reaping. And I didn't cry again, but the ending of this was so sad. I mean, like, I knew it was going to happen because I think, like, it was pretty clear that he was going to lose everything. But obviously, still absolutely heartbreaking to read it happen. I loved the little epilogue that we got at the end. I feel like it gives some closure from the Hunger Games series, which I am now so excited to reread. I actually think I'm going to go pick it up from my house now, like, as soon as I finish this clip, because I'm still at my sister's house. So I was just going to wait until I got home, but I think I need to go pick up the series now because I don't think I'm going to want to read anything else while I have this on the brain. And like, I want this to be as fresh as possible going into the Hunger Games. Obviously, this clip that you're seeing is going to be after the whole vlog of the Hunger Games reread. But for clarity, and I'm sure I mentioned this already, I read this first and then went back and read the Hunger Games. But I just thought for the vlog, because not everyone is going to want to learn all about this, I thought I would do Hunger Games first, this last in terms of the vlog. Anyway, but yeah, I loved it. I gave it 4.5 because I will say I think the beginning was a little bit slow. It was definitely setting things up, but yeah, it was harrowing. The games were horrific. I mean, they always are, but like in this one, Susanna Collins really like went off with the violence. It was disturbing. I feel like there's always so much like political commentary in her books, which is great and scary, but I loved it. Now I get to reread the Hunger Games and hopefully I have loved that. But you already know. I also loved all of the cameos that we got of characters that we already know from the original trilogy, and I feel like they actually were all very important. They played a part. They weren't just there to be there as like fan service. They were there for a reason, and I really appreciated that. Initially I was a little bit wary and thinking like, is this just fan service? But I think that they definitely all served a purpose in this story, and I'm going to be really intrigued to go back and read the Hunger Games with the knowledge that I have from this. I think it's going to provide a lot of context. Yeah, I'm so glad I read this. I'm so glad it finally came out. I've been waiting for this book for like 10 years. So I know she didn't announce it that long ago, but I always wanted to read this story. So I'm so glad we finally got it and that it was actually really good. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go and then Samantha from the future will come in to wrap up this video. So yes, I am now officially finished rereading the Hunger Games series. I do still need to go back and reread Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but I don't really want to right now. Maybe the next time I do a reread, I'll actually read the whole thing all the way through and like start with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. We will see. But yeah, I had such a good time rereading or reading these books for the first time. They really do, I was gonna say stand up in my memory, but actually, as you know, like I rated the books lower the first time around. Like I think I gave The Hunger Games and Mockingjay 4 stars, and I gave Catching Fire 5 stars, which remains. But yeah, this time around I gave The Hunger Games 5 stars, Catching Fire 5 stars, and Mockingjay 4.5. I feel like I had a much better appreciation for Mockingjay this time around, and obviously it was the first time with Sunrise on the Reaping, and that was a 4.5. So yeah, if I had to like rank the books, last place would definitely be Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. Then I think it would probably be Mockingjay, then Sunrise on the Reaping. Second place would be The Hunger Games, and in first place we of course would have Catching Fire, because I do genuinely think it's the best Hunger Games book for my personal preferences. But I do love the series so much, and I feel like I enjoyed it so much more this time around. I had a much better appreciation for it now than I did when I read it when I was 16? 15? It was 11 years ago and I'm 26, so 15. I feel like I enjoyed it a lot more this time around, and I feel like you can still get so much out of the series as an adult, even if you've never read The Hunger Games before. Although if you haven't, why are you watching this? But yeah, that's all that I have for this very lengthy video at the moment. I haven't edited it, but I have over an hour of footage, so we're gonna see how this goes. That's all I have for this video, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe down below, and please let me know what you think of the Hunger Games series. Did you like Sunrise on the Reaping? Give me your official ranking of the series. I would love to know. If you made it all the way to the end and you don't know what to say, leave me some fire emojis for Catching Fire, of course. And yeah, that's all that I have. So I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.